Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody jumping on with short notice on this. We got buried trying to get the city and county application process for our new web-based grants management system up and going the last couple of weeks. But that is up and running now. And in the future, once we get through this, finishing up this reporting period for you all, everything for state agencies will happen through there too. Should take some of the administrative lift out of the process and make it quicker and more efficient for all of us. So we're here today for state agency reporting requirements. Two items we're covering today. One is the carry forward report, and that's to see if you have a carry forward number that was approved by the grants committee back in August before your performance period ended, and if that number is still the same or if it's different, and what we need to do to true you up to the right amount of carry forward. And the other will be the annual report that is due for all awards. And because we are a little late getting this stuff out, we have also extended the due dates out on this from what they were originally. And as Sharika goes through, she will explain all of that. So from there, and this is being recorded, and the report templates, the slide deck, and this video will all be posted on our website a little bit later today. So my name is Charlie Linticum. I'm the Director of Operations for the Opioid Abatement Authority. I oversee all grant activities from one end to the other and in between. And I also oversee outreach programs that we have. And we also have our main presenter today is Sharika Bridges. She's our Senior Grants Compliance Analyst, and her job is to make sure that all of us on all sides are doing all the little things that we're supposed to be doing with award packages and reporting and applications and getting everything into the right spot so we're all swimming towards the same island and making sure this money is being used to help save people's lives. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sharika.
All right, good morning, everyone. So today we're going to cover three different main points. First, we're going to talk about your 2023-2024 period of performance. That period of performance is going to be relevant for both the carry forward reporting workbook as well as your annual reporting. And again, just to kind of hone in on that period of performance, that time frame is October 1st of 2023 through September 30th of 2024. One note about the period of performance. So because that is your relevant period of performance, you should have at least all of your expenditures should have at least been encumbered by September 30th of 2024. As we talk through the 2023-2024 carry forward reporting, we're going to kind of talk through the different components of that report to include instructions, a narrative report, a financial report. You'll have to submit a detailed transaction report to the OAA that should reconcile to the totals listed in your carry forward report. And then one note for you all, as Charlie mentioned, you did kind of report on your projected expenditures when you were submitting your 2024-2025 application. But if you find that you don't have any carry forward funds for the 2023-2024 period of performance, please just send us an email to info@voaa.us, just letting us know that. And that will suffice as your carry forward report. You will still have to do your annual report, but we will take an email if you don't have any unexpended funds for the 2023-2024 period of performance. And then we'll also talk through the requirements for the annual report. So for the annual report, you're going to have instructions, you'll have a narrative report, you'll have a financial report. You'll also report on your expenditures for the period of performance year by category. So you'll report on if you've had any personnel expenses, if you've had any operating or any capital expenses, you'll report on that. You'll also provide us with an update on the status of your performance measures for that 2023-2024 period of performance year. And then again, we ask that you provide us a detailed transaction report. So as we talked through today's webinar, we're going to cover all of those components a little more deeply. So as we mentioned in the email that was sent to you all on Friday, we are extending the deadlines for both the carry forward report and the annual report. The new deadline for the carry forward report is October 28th of 2024. Again, we want you to be mindful of that period of performance. So we have that October 1st of 2023 through September 30th of 2024. And this is the only time frame that the carry forward and annual report should be based upon. So as we get into the carry forward reporting instructions, we're asking state agencies with the 2023-2024 OAA awards to submit a carry forward report for, again, that period of performance of October 1st, 2023 through September 30th of 2024. We ask that you submit the carry forward report by 11:59 p.m. on October 28th. And you're required to submit a separate carry forward report for each awarded project. So we do know that several agencies may have more than one project that was awarded for the 2023-2024 period of performance year. So you will have to do a separate carry forward workbook for each project. And then we want to reiterate that all of the tabs in the workbook should be completed. And we'll kind of talk through generally about the different components. So for the carry forward report, again, you're going to have a narrative report. In that narrative report, we're going to ask for a narrative description or status update regarding your period of performance expenditures. We also want to know if you have any unexpended funds or any carry forward, what generated those carry forward amounts. And then in addition to that information, we want to know what your intended use of those funds would be if approved for use in the current fiscal year. For the financial reporting tab, we're going to ask you to report on your actual OAA amounts awarded, or if you have any matching funds to support the project, what was approved as a match. We also want to know, what did you originally project in terms of your expenditures for the period of performance year? Again, that information was provided if you submitted a renewal or amendment application for the current fiscal year. That information was provided in that application. And then we also want to know your final amounts expended for 2023-2024. And we want to know that by the OAA award, as well as if you've had any matching funds that were approved for your project. Again, just to reiterate on the requirements for the carry forward, we also want that detailed transaction report. And that information in the transaction report should reconcile to the totals listed in your actual carry forward report. So just to kind of show you, as you see the image on the right-hand side of the screen, that's kind of a snapshot of what the instructions will look like. A lot of this information that we're covering will be in those instructions. That's a separate tab of the reporting workbook. It's usually the first tab. But just to kind of pull out some of those key details, we are asking for a separate carry forward reporting workbook for each awarded project. Again, just to reiterate that, the deadline to submit the report is October 28th of 2024. The carry forward workbook is required before we will distribute any of the current fiscal year awarded fund, period of performance year awarded funds. So before any 2024-2025 awarded funds will be disseminated, we ask that you submit that. When you're submitting this carry forward reporting workbook, it's our expectation that the final amount of carry forward reported is exact. So if you have any questions regarding that, if you need any assistance, just let us know. And then there is a component of the carry forward reporting workbook on the narrative tab where we're asking for a signature by your agency executive, their designee, or your chief financial officer for the agency. Once you've completed all the tabs of the workbook, you've secured your signature, and you've gotten your transactional report, we ask that you email all of those items to us, and you email it to us at info@voaa.us. And we're asking for that information by 11:59 p.m. on October 28th. So as we dive into the narrative report for the carry forward, You'll see on the screen on the left-hand side, this is a screenshot of what that narrative report looks like. So at the top portion, you will type in your state agency name. You will not need to select the grant type. It's already pre-populated for you, and you would enter your project name. Again, you're going to complete one of these workbooks for each of your awarded projects for 2023, 2024. Once you enter your state agency name and your project name, that information will automatically carry over to all the other tabs of the workbook. So you won't have to re-enter that information. One thing I do want to highlight as you're going through the carry forward workbook as well as the annual reporting workbook, we have tried to pre-populate information in areas so you don't have to do your own calculations, you don't have to re-enter text. So any of those boxes that you see that are highlighted in gray, those boxes will contain the pre-populated information. Any boxes that you see that are highlighted in blue, those are the sections where you will need to enter text or information. So for the first box on the narrative report for the carry forward report, you will see a section that asks again for that narrative update regarding the status of your expenditures for the project. We want to know if there's any discrepancies between your originally approved carry forward and the final carry forward that's being reported via this workbook. For the second box of the narrative report, we're asking for the final carry forward amount. If you can explain to us what generated that amount. So maybe you had delays in getting your project started. If you had personnel funds allocated for your award, maybe you had delays in hiring personnel. We want to know kind of what caused you to have unexpended funds at the end of the fiscal year or the period of performance year, excuse me. We also want to know if you have any carry forward, how are you intending to use those funds if approved for usage? So we ask that you indicate that information. As you can see for the next section, there's a section for a final OAA carry forward amount. That amount is going to automatically calculate once you complete the sections on the financial report. So again, this cell is highlighted in gray. You won't have to enter any information here. We also wanted to reiterate on the narrative report that you will need to complete that and submit the transaction report along with your carry forward report. And then you'll see at the bottom of your screen, there is a section for your agency executive, their designee, or your chief financial officer for your agency to certify the report. That certification does carry forward to all of the other tabs. So you only need to have that one certification for the entire report. As we get into the financial reporting component of the carry forward report, again, you can see on the image here, the state agency name, your grant type, and your project name, they're all highlighted in gray. So you won't have to re-enter that information. It will automatically carry over. Again, you'll only be entering information in the blue highlighted cells. So the first section of the financial reporting tab includes your revenues. And this is where we talk about your OAA awarded funding. So we want you to enter what was awarded, what were your projected expenditures. Again, that was from your 2024-2025 application. And then what were your final expenditures for the period of performance year. Once you've entered in these three sections of information, your final remaining funds for the 2023-2024 year will automatically calculate, as well as your totals for your state agency awarded funding section. The second portion of the revenues consists of non-OAA funding sources. So we do know that not all state agencies had non-OAA matching funds, but if that's relevant for your award, you would enter the source of the non-OAA revenue, you would enter how much was approved or pledged as a match, you would enter what your projected expenditures were, again, from your renewal or amendment application, and then you would enter what your final expenditures were for the period of performance year. Again, your remaining funds for the period of performance year, and your total other revenue sources sections will automatically calculate because they're entered in gray highlights. So once you've entered in your state agency awarded funding from the OAA, as well as your non-OAA funding sources, your total revenues will automatically calculate, so you won't have to do those calculations yourself. Then you will continue on to the expenses section of the financial report. So for this section, we're asking for a breakdown of your OAA awarded funds by expense category. So personnel expenses, if you've had OAA funds that are allocated to support personnel expenses, if you have funds to support operating or capital expenses, we ask that you provide that breakdown here. We also ask that you provide the projected amount of expenditures that you've indicated when you were submitting your current fiscal year application, period of performance year application in this section. And then we want to know your final period of performance year expenditures in the final section. For this category, in terms of your breakdown of expenses, if you have any questions or if you're struggling to try to figure this information out, we certainly ask you to reach out to us and we can assist you with kind of getting that breakdown of your award. Once you've entered in your expense information, your final period of performance balances will total, your total expenses totals will automatically calculate, and then you'll see a revenue and expenditure reconciliation. So that's going to be a reconciliation between what was approved or what was pledged as a match in terms of revenue versus what was your breakdown for expenditures. Then you'll also see at the bottom of the screen, your originally approved carry forward amount will automatically calculate. Your final carry forward amount will automatically calculate. If there's a discrepancy between the two numbers, you'll be able to see how much of a difference in terms of a dollar amount between those two totals, and then a percent of change. So those are all of the components for the carry forward reporting. So you have your instructions, your narrative, your financial report, and then you'll attach that detailed transactional report and email it to us. Now we're going to shift gears here a little and talk about the annual report. So this is a requirement for all 2023-2024 awards. The deadline to submit this annual report has been extended to December the 9th of 2024. So for these instructions, we've broken them up a little bit between programmatic instructions and financial instructions, because this report does contain both programmatic and financial components. So again, this is a requirement that you must submit an annual report. Again, it's based on that October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. That's your period of performance year. And we're asking for this to be submitted by 11:59 p.m. on December the 9th. Programmatically, this report contains a narrative report and a performance measures report. So in that narrative report, we want a status update of the project. We want to know any success or any challenges you've experienced with your project. We want to know what the impact of your project has been on the citizens of the Commonwealth. And then, if applicable, we want to know what are your plans regarding project sustainability, and as well as any pertinent details regarding your expenditures. For the performance measures, we want to know what your approved performance measures were for the period of performance year, and then what are your final or achieved performance measure numbers. And if there's any discrepancies between the two, we ask that you provide us with a brief explanation regarding those discrepancies. For annual reporting financial components, so we're going to ask you to complete a financial reporting tab. In that tab, you're going to report on the amount that was awarded for the period of performance year for the project, your final amount expended for the project, and one note about your final amount expended, that should reconcile with the final expenditure totals that you enter in your carry forward report. Because again, the period of performance has ended, and you're reporting on the same time period. And then the amounts by budget category, that information, as you'll see shortly, will automatically populate and you won't have to calculate those totals. This section is also, or this report is also going to ask for a personnel expense report, and you're going to have an operating and capital expense report. So on both of those reports, you're going to report on the amount that was awarded for personnel. If you have any approved personnel expenses using your OAA awarded funds, you're going to indicate by position how much was awarded, and then you're going to also indicate by position how much was expended for personnel expenses. Same for operating and capital. You're going to indicate how much was awarded of your overall OAA awarded funds for operating and capital expenses by line item, and you're also going to indicate how much was expended during the period of performance year for operating and capital expenses by line item. Again, for this report, we're asking that you submit a detailed transaction report. And again, the totals in that transaction report should reconcile to the expenditures listed in the financial report. So again, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see what the instructions will look like. Again, the first tab of the annual report will consist of an instructions tab, and this information will be listed there. We also wanted to pull out and highlight for this report as well that you must submit a separate annual reporting workbook for each 2023-2024 awarded project. Again, the deadline to submit this report is December 9th of 2024. This report does require a signature section, again, from the agency executive or their designee. And we ask that you, once you've completed all the tabs in the workbook, you've secured your signature, we ask that you email the completed workbook along with your detailed transactional report to us at info@voaa.us by 11:59 p.m. on December 9th. So diving into the sections of the narrative reporting tab for the annual report, again, on this report, you're going to enter your state agency name and your project name. And once you enter it here, it will automatically pre-populate on all of the other subsequent tabs. For this report, we're going to ask for, again, a narrative status update on the project. We want you to highlight any project successes you've had, any challenges. If you've had any challenges, we want you to kind of explain to us what actions were taken by your agency to address and or overcome those challenges. We want a narrative update regarding the project's impact on citizens of the Commonwealth. And then we also ask for a narrative update regarding your plans for project sustainability, or if you have any pertinent details regarding expenditures, we ask for that information here as well. For the financial report, again, very similar to how the carry forward report was set up. You don't have to re-enter your state agency information or your project name. You will have to indicate your OAA awarded funds for the period of performance year, how much was awarded, how much did you expend during the period of performance, and your total remaining balance will automatically calculate. Same thing for any non-OAA funding. So again, not all projects had non-OAA matching funds, but if you did, how much was pledged as a match, how much was expended during the period of performance year, and then your total remaining balance and your total revenues will automatically calculate. One note to point out that is different from the carry forward report in terms of this financial reporting tab, you will see here your expenditure section looks similar, but you don't have to enter any text on the actual financial report. So if you can see, these sections for the expenses are all highlighted in gray, meaning they will automatically pre-populate, but this information will pre-populate once you filled in the numbers on the personnel expense tab and your operating and capital expense tabs. Again, for this financial report, you're going to see an award and expenditure reconciliation. So again, once you've entered in your personnel expenses, Your operating and capital expenses on the other tabs. Your award and expenditure reconciliation will automatically calculate. And then your final period of performance year 2023-2024 balance will automatically calculate as well. We just kind of covered that, my apologies. So in going through the personnel expense report, again, you don't have to re-enter your state agency name or your project name. You will need to enter any positions that were approved using your OAA awarded funds. You'll enter the position name, type, or description. You'll enter the number of FTEs, how much was awarded to support the position, and how much was expended during the period of performance year. Again, with this section, if you have any questions, we certainly ask that you reach out to us. We can assist you with kind of figuring out those numbers if needed. You have the same setup for the wage and part-time staff. So if you have any wage or part-time staff that you're using OAA funds to support, you would indicate the position type or description, the number of wage or part-time staff that you were approved for, and then how much was awarded and how much was expended. Once you've entered text into these two sections, your total salary staff totals will automatically calculate. Your total wage / part-time staff members will automatically calculate, and then you'll get a personnel totals tab. The totals from this personnel totals tab will automatically pre-populate on the financial reporting tab. For the operating and a capital expense report, again, the same situation. You don't have to re-enter anything at the top, but you are only entering in information in the red outline section. So you'll indicate if you had any operating expenses that were approved, you'll provide a description for the expense that was approved, how much of your award was allocated for the expense, and how much you actually expended all during the period of performance year. Same thing for capital expenses. You'll provide a description of what the capital expense is, how much was awarded to support it, and then how much you've actually expended during the period of performance year to support it. Once you've entered in the information into these two cells, your total balances will automatically calculate, and you'll see your total operating expense section automatically calculate, as well as your total capital expense section. And these two sections will automatically pre-populate back to the financial reporting tab.
Trick, you mind if I jump in for a second?
Yes, sure.
I know as many of you have been through going through the submission process with us, and when we try to work through some, we had some cumbersome issues with our budget form for this last cycle. So if you're not sure how your expenditures your budget should show between these three categories of, personnel is pretty obvious, but operating and capital and stuff, and how it's broken up, just please reach out to us and we'll look back through and we'll piece it together with you, since this is the first reporting period and we didn't have like a prescribed method for all of this when we went through the RFP process the first time. As well, as I mentioned, as this everything kind of gets straight and we load all the historical data into our system, a lot of this stuff that will flow much easier, both from an RFP process as well as a reporting process. So just to please reach out to us. Don't sit and struggle with it. Let's work on it together and come to an agreement.
Thank you, Charlie. So the next section of the annual report is the performance measures report. So with this section, again, you're only entering information into the blue highlighted cells. You would only select the performance measures that were approved and associated with your project. So you can look at your 2023-2024 agency MOU to find those approved performance measures if you're unsure, or you can certainly reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to assist you. But you only need to select the performance measures, and there's a drop-down option in these cells. So you can only select the performance measures that were relevant and approved for your award. You're going to enter the numbers that were approved for your project, and then what your actual performance measures. So what achievements did you have in terms of the performance measures? You'll also provide us in this section with the description or an update or an explanation regarding any discrepancies between your approved numbers and your actual numbers. And that is all of the components for both the carry forward and the annual reporting workbooks. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact us at info@voaa.us, or you can reach out to us directly, and we'll be more than happy to assist you.
Thank you, Sharika. I've had a couple of questions come up. I've been answering as we've been going, but I will go ahead and verbally answer them as well. So one of them wanted to make sure that they understood the individual sub-projects need to have separate carry forward reports. They also need to have separate annual reports, and yes, that is true. Another one asked if there'd be another training on this. We do not have one currently scheduled. This webinar, Sharika's slide deck, and the forms will be posted on our website a little bit later today. We'll shoot an email to you all when those are posted. And if you need some additional assistance, I would say at this point, review this webinar again. If you need to work with your finance staff and have them review it, or reach out to us and we'll meet with you directly and talk about your project and make sure we get, all the I's dotted and T's crossed to go through the process. And another question about when will the forms be available on the website a little bit later today. Like I said, we'll shoot an email out when everything is there and ready. Just got to get the video edited, and we'll post all of it at the same time, and it will be on the grants portal under the state agency tab. Excuse me, the grants portal is now called Grants Info now that we've launched an actual portal. But right where you would have gone to have found the RFP and the forms and stuff before, right at the top, we'll have all of this information sitting there, very easy to access. Anybody else has questions, if they want to type them in the Q&A or raise their hand and ask a live question, we'll be happy to facilitate. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, like I said, please reach out if you guys have any questions. Appreciate your flexibility on this with getting all of you on the webinar this morning. And we'll have emails out to you all as soon as everything's posted on our website. Thank you very much.